Hey, how are you? Today we're going to talk about something that interestingly popped up in my mind today and just kind of discuss a bit of the issue and get down to it. I don't know if you noticed, and it's a bit of nerd media, so you're probably not going to be well versed in it. It's not going to occur to you first time, first thought, first think, but Bards in particular seem to be a student collective. They seem to be aspiring people. I mean, every single class they have is a college. So these are people wealthy enough that come from aristocratic backgrounds to attend college, achieve a higher education, be all fancy and dancy with it while they're strumming their music, while they're doing their art, telling their stories, whatever they're doing. And the people who have the most fun and get the most wild are college students. This makes a lot of sense, but when you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, was this intentional? Was this something y'all meant to? I mean, clearly Bards are what they are. They've been that way for a while, but this strikes me as particularly funny because the horny bard is essentially a college student cutting loose while, trying to get themselves out of a life or death situation where some sort of dragon or monster or beastie is literally trying to eat them or cook them alive. I find this really funny. The origin of a meme is basically, without meaning to be, a critique of artist, a critique of the college lifestyle, and basically saying those dudes will screw anything. And yeah, given enough liquor, everybody would screw anything. But this is kind of the issue. Essentially, bards, without them meaning to, are the starving artists. They are the Starbucks guys. So a lot of us commenting on D&D would actually be the bard class by default. We are the struggling artists, the unpaid writers, the, guy who's working on a screenplay. We are those guys. And yeah, given the situation, if we can't find a way out of it, think our way out of it, we'll try anything. We'll try and screw our way out of it. I like this. This is kind of funny to me. This just appeals, and I'm thinking, well, it's not necessarily true, but think about it. Artists are very unrestricted and very emotionally free-flowing, very flighty, very romantic in general. So there is some sort of cultural credence to it, but, just in the game stories alone, it just seems to attract that kind of person that loves to have fun, joke around, do what you will. And don't get me wrong, it's worked for my Irish ancestors too, at least that 40%. Because, I don't know if you noticed, but English, Scottish, Nordic, those people tended to get assimilated into the tribe wherever they happened to be if they were dating some sort of Celtic chick, which I find very amusing. It is a tactic of survival, and that's fair, but I just kind of find it amusing that the horny bard meme, the life of the party vibe they give off, is basically because they're college kids running away on adventures to escape their student debt. They're not afraid of that dragon, they're afraid of whatever functions as a D&D IRS. They are trying to avoid the pool house. I find this really amusing. Like, legitimately, they're not running away from, life and death situations. They are running away from being financially incarcerated from unpaid loans. Essentially, a bard is the struggling dude who can't pay his way, so he goes on adventure to foreign lands to try and find his money. This is just hilarious, unintentionally. I know they didn't mean for this to happen, but that's very much how the general narrative worked out. They didn't mean to make it, that struggling, aspiring artist, but that's very much how it works. I mean, as you gain levels and go on adventures and you kind of acquire some fame, you're going up in levels, you're kind of becoming a local rock star, a bit of a out of that garage band phase. Because what is a bard to a group of adventurers? He's the hype man, he's the face, he's the one who's gonna smooth things over. So, coming from a, skaldic shaper background, if a guy dies on tour in the band, he's the one writing the eulogy. He's the one who's literally trying to negotiate room, rates and carting fees and all these other things. The bard is the struggling student who's also the business manager because he needs protection from whatever the D&D world's government is trying to get their money. I love this. I love because they are college students. They are effectively just trying to avoid death and incarceration by hanging around with a bunch of thugs, outcasts, and ne'er-do-wells. Essentially, a D&D party is kind of like a rock band made of weirdos. This is beautiful. I mean, they didn't mean for this to happen, but it happened. It's here now. That's just something.